Severe weather rumbling across parts of central and eastern Kentucky. The very latest on the thread is just ahead.
The University of Kentucky is joining college campuses across the country in honoring the victims of the Orlando shooting. We'll take you to the memorial ahead.
Nearly 20 hours later, and still no sign of a young boy dragged into a lagoon at Disney World by an alligator. We'll have the latest on the search.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Welcome to WKYT News at 4. Andrea Walker and Sam Dick reporting. It's shaping up to be a stormy day across central and eastern Kentucky.
That is. This is a live picture of downtown Lexington. Take a look at that. Rounds of thunderstorms pushing through the state, and some of these could be strong or severe. So we have declared today a First Alert Severe Weather Day. Let's check in now with our chief meteorologist, Chris Bailey. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys. A lot of severe thunderstorm watches out for western northern parts of the area. By the way, this one into northern Kentucky, that includes Maysville and Covington, just issued. That will go until 11 o'clock this evening, but the majority of the counties under that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock for parts of western and central Kentucky, just to the west of the downtown Lexington area. That's where all the storms are right now. Defender radar network, not a whole lot across central Kentucky, some scattered stuff southeastern Kentucky, where earlier had a little wind damage and some power outages into parts of Perry County and points east. Lexington Metro, it kind of looks and feels the part of storms, though nothing is really out there. A little thunderstorm complex that is weakening just a bit here into parts of Nelson County, southern parts of Bullitt County. Most of the severe weather has been across western Kentucky. Severe thunderstorm warnings are out for the Bowling Green area and west. What I'm watching, though, for the latter part of the evening, mid and latter part of the evening, thunderstorms that are going up from Indy over toward Bloomington into parts of Illinois. Whatever is there is going to try to work toward the southeast and into central and eastern Kentucky as the evening wears on. Future radar, hour by hour, shows that by 7, 8, 9 o'clock this evening, those thunderstorms into parts of Indiana and Illinois will be right on top of central and eastern Kentucky. High winds, heavy rain, the primary threats, guys. As always, we'll continue to watch them.
Investigators in Orlando are getting a clear picture of a shooter, Omar Mateen's actions during the Pulse nightclub attack.
Sources say he called a friend during the attack to say goodbye. He also called a local TV producer and made 3 calls to 911. The FBI is now issuing intelligence bulletins to gay clubs in the Orlando area. Meanwhile, the gun control debate took a new turn in Washington. Emily Schmidt reports. It's our top story at 4 o'clock.
So I would call it a hate crime, I would call it terrorism, it's both.
There's a political pattern to mass shooting reactions. Moments of silence, followed by days of debates.
If the FBI is watching you for suspected terrorist links, you should not be able to buy a gun with no questions asked.
But it's not about the gun debate today. I think that we make a mistake to focus it on that.
But after Orlando, the pattern has gone off script. Because when House Democrats called for a no-fly, no-buy policy.
If you're not allowed to fly, you shouldn't be allowed to buy the gun.
I'm going to save your Second Amendment.
Presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, who has positioned himself all campaign as firmly pro-gun rights, seemed to agree with Democrats. Trump tweeted he will meet with the NRA to ban gun sales for people on a terror watch list. The NRA tweeted back, "Our position is no guns for terrorists, period. Due process and right to self-defense for law-abiding Americans."
I know that we can come together on this issue.
On the floor of the Senate, more unscripted moments with a gun control-centered filibuster.
Having come through the experience of Newtown, I've had enough.
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy vows to stay on the floor as long as he can. Talk is certain, while congressional action remains unknown. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
Investigators say the shooter, Omar Mateen, was placed on a federal watch list in 2013 but was later removed. When he purchased the guns used in the attack, he was not on any federal list. Here in Lexington, dozens of people have gathered to honor the victims of the massacre.
WKYT Sean Moody is on the UK campus where a vigil took place this afternoon.
Organizers weren't really sure exactly how many people would show up to the service today. They moved it to a bigger room just in case they had a crowd. In fact, they actually had people overflowing out here onto this balcony at the main building. They said it was encouraging to see so many people come together. People from across the campus piled into the room to hear some speakers and spend some time with each other. They talked about the importance of embracing people of all backgrounds. Students who gathered here said they wanted students who felt anxious or concerned about being accepted to feel at ease.
I think sometimes people that are in a minority, weren't in our classrooms or walking their community, they kind of feel they're not wanted. So just open up your arms and just giving them a few words to make sure that they're unwanted. I think for one thing for me, it's going to be a great step going forward.
There were also a lot of counselors in the room. They said they'd be available to anyone who needs them. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
UK has also lit up Memorial Hall in rainbow colors to show solidarity with the LGBTQ community.
Orlando is the scene of another heartbreaking national story this afternoon. A sheriff says there's no question a 2-year-old boy taken by an alligator is dead. The gator grabbed the boy as he waded by the edge of a lagoon at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort last night. Disney has since closed all beaches in its Lake Buena Vista resorts while they try to find the boy's body.
We've already taken 4 alligators and looked at those alligators and determined right now we couldn't find any evidence that they were involved.
The boy's parents and sibling were with him when it happened. The family is from Nebraska and had been staying at the resort for a few days. Coming up on WKYT News at 5, you'll hear from a Kentucky family currently vacationing in Disney World who says they won't be taking any chances for the rest of their trip.
We're working on a number of other stories for you on WKYT beginning at 4:30. We're waiting to hear the verdict now in a Lexington murder trial. Mark Taylor, accused of beating Alex Johnson to death in December of 2013. And during the trial, Taylor's alleged accomplice, Timothy Ballard, took the stand saying Taylor committed the murder. When Taylor took the stand yesterday, he said Ballard killed Johnson. In closing arguments, the defense said that if the jury did not believe Ballard, they must find Taylor not guilty. Prosecutors said even without Ballard's testimony, there's enough evidence that Taylor is guilty. We'll have the very latest from the courtroom on WKYT News coming up at 5 o'clock. Lexington police say an overnight break-in helped them catch the man behind a rash of burglaries in central Kentucky. Victor Littleton was arrested after allegedly breaking into the Speedway on Tates Creek and Old Mount Tabor about 2:30 this morning. Police say officers caught up with him after they spotted the car they believed to be involved nearby, eventually pulling that car over, driven by Littleton. He then took off running until police were able to catch him and arrest him in the Woodhill Drive area. We'll have more on the several other burglaries he's accused of ahead at 6 o'clock. Several dozen suspected drug dealers are being rounded up in southern Kentucky. Police started early this morning arresting people in their homes in Pulaski County. The sheriff says they have 26 indictment warrants for people dealing in heroin, methamphetamine, and oxycodone. Police say that all of them were indicted based on undercover drug buys.
Combating the heroin and methamphetamine and all the opiates that are being abused now.
Police say you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get when arresting these people, and it can be very dangerous. We'll have more on the roundup ahead on WKYT News at 4:30.
Bad news for UK students. The price of their degree may soon be going up. We'll have more on possible tuition increase in WKYT's Money Watch. And we can all use a better credit score, but trying to help it may hurt you in the long run. That's coming up after the break.
It's not too late to buy. Ashley Home Store Secret Sale has been extended. Time is running out. To get huge savings or no interest until 2022. Don't miss our extended hours Friday and Saturday. Absolutely, and Sunday at Ashley Home Store.
I had just gotten out of high school. My father had passed away, and I kind of decided then that I wanted to be in the medical field. And one of my friends attended Spencerian that I worked with. I was working 2 jobs at the time. I work with 7 other people in the laboratory that have actually graduated from Spencerian. I think it all comes back to the fact that all the instructors here have that experience and they prepare us so well. Things can change for the better, and Spencerian College will help that change.
Stanley Steamer is proud to be the first professional cleaning service to be certified asthma and allergy friendly by the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. This means our carpet cleaning process removes an average of 94% of common household allergens. And our tile and grout and hardwood cleaning services remove an average of 96%, making your home cleaner and healthier. Call now about our $33 per room carpet cleaning special.
Call 1-800-STEAMER. Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
Savor something different every day. Just ask for the $3 sub of the day at Subway restaurants. A different 6-inch sub every day for only $3. Classics like the meatball marinara and Italian BMT, plus favorites like the turkey breast and turkey and black forest ham. 7 days, 7 subs, $3. Subway, founded on fresh.
The favorite thing that I like about shopping at Critchfield Meats is the quality and the selection of their meats. Anything that I'm looking for, they will have, and they've just been outstanding in every facet of the way they do business.
I just heard my favorite fries are now only $1. Like I needed another reason to want that seasoned, crispy goodness. Small, medium, or large fries, only $1, but not for long. Checkers and Rallies. Fast foodies know the deal.
This is how easy it is to save time and money on auto maintenance. Done. I just text my local Ford dealer, and a few seconds later, I just saved big time. It's that simple. Text tires to 91604. You'll get a special offer instantly that you can use on any vehicle. Now get up to $120 off the purchase of 4 tires and get a free alignment. Because your local Ford dealers just love happy customers. Text, connect, save. Only at your local Ford store.
It's not too late to buy. Ashley Home Store Secret Sale has been extended. Time is running out. To get huge savings or no interest until 2022. Don't miss our extended hours Friday and Saturday. Absolutely, and Sunday at Ashley Home Store.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
It looks like tuition is going up at the University of Kentucky again, and that begins today's Money Watch.
The Herald Leader reports that next week the UK Board of Trustees is expected to approve a 5% tuition increase for in-state students. Despite losing more than $12 million in state funding, President Eli Capilouto is also asking that UK employees receive a 2% pay raise. Starting today, the first U.S. credit card intended for use in Cuba will become available. Stonegate Bank says its MasterCard will allow U.S. travelers to charge purchases made at state-run businesses, as well as a few private ones, including swanky eateries. Cuba says it will exempt the card from a current 10% penalty on dollar transactions.
Could Apple be giving its iPhone screens a massive makeover? The tech giant has received a patent for a 360-degree iPhone screen. Apple says the screen would place a display on all sides of the smartphone. It would allow users to watch videos that play on both sides of the screen. As good as it sounds, Apple has not said if the screen will actually appear on iPhones at all.
A new survey finds that most Americans have saved only about $5,000 for retirement. Even for couples in their late 50s and 60s, the average amount saved for retirement is $17,000. And 43% of working-age couples have no retirement funds at all. What's your credit score? To some, that 3-digit number can be more like a dirty word.
That's right. If you want to make your score better, be careful. Scammers can not only steal your information, but also turn you into a crook. Mary Maloney explains.
When trying to make a financial decision for the future, it's often financial decisions from the past that can trip you up. From buying a car to buying a home, lenders can see your decisions in a credit report, and some scammers see an opportunity. According to the Federal Trade Commission, there are few easy ways to spot a credit repair scam. First, if the company asks for payment before they render any services. Also, if they ask that you do not contact the credit reporting agencies directly. And if they suggest giving false information when applying for a mortgage or a loan. Another troubling trend among credit repair scammers, the promise of an entirely new credit identity, which can unwittingly land a consumer in trouble with the law. You can spot these scams when a service suggests abandoning a social security number as a primary source of identification, and instead using a new number they assign and call a CPN for credit privacy number or credit profile number. In many cases, these numbers are stolen social security numbers, often from children, which is why they have a clean credit slate. And that can turn a consumer into an unknowing identity thief, despite their good financial intentions. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
A little lemonade making a big difference for childhood cancer. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about to explain at Monkey Joe's today.
We are on guard for the possibility of some strong and severe thunderstorms. We're tracking several rounds toward the Bluegrass region in just a moment.
The fight against drugs takes us somewhere unexpected.
People who want things will find ways to get things, and especially drug addicts.
WKYT is there as officers search for drugs in jails. Thursday at 6 on WKYT. Kentucky mornings start here. Breaking and overnight news, weather to plan your day, plus traffic you can take with you. Make WKYT This Morning part of your Kentucky morning. Weekdays from 4:30 to 7 on WKYT.
It's not too late to save 50 to 70% off name brand furniture at Suff's Furniture and Oriental Rugs as part of the estate sale of Albert Sandy Suffaletta continues. All of our inventory in Georgetown must be sold at great savings before this location is sold. And you can save at both the Georgetown and Nicholasville locations. Plus, every night both stores will be restocked from our warehouses until everything is sold. Our Georgetown store will be sold and we will continue to serve you at Suff's on Nicholasville Road. Hurry in for the best selection of fine furniture at Suff's estate inventory sale.
Now is the time to save big with Smart Bonus Cash from Ford. Now get 0% financing for 60 months, plus an extra $1,000 Smart Bonus Cash on Edge and Explorer. Ford, America's best-selling brand with big savings. 0% financing for 60 months and an extra $1,000 Smart Bonus Cash. But supplies are limited. So hurry while selection is best and see your local Ford dealer today.
Tired of painting? Go Rhino, and you'll never have to paint again. Now you can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for brick, stucco, wood, or aluminum. And Rhino Shield won't chip, crack, flake, or peel for home or business. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Torture of an elderly woman in a nursing home.
Her grandmother was being abused. Nationwide, about 1 in 3 homes have been cited for abuse.
Nursing home abuse happens daily, and our loved ones need protection. If you or someone you love has experienced nursing home abuse, call 800-800-4600. If your loved one has suffered from malnutrition, dehydration, broken bones, or bed sores, don't wait. Call Hughes and Coleman. Call 800-800-4600. You need to act now.
At the Sleep Outfitters 4th of July Sneak Peek Week, the steals and deals are already here. Purchase a king for the price of a queen. Don't have room? Get a free TV instead. 5 years, no interest financing makes your dream bed affordable. Get this Sealy Pillow Top Queen Set with gel foam for just $4.99 plus a free TV. Free size upgrades, 5 years, no interest financing, and free TVs up to 55 inches. Don't wait. It's only during the 4th of July Sneak Peek Week at Sleep Outfitters.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. Follow WKYT on Twitter.
We are following breaking news in a Lexington murder trial. Here's the latest. The jury has found Mark Taylor guilty of beating Alex Johnson to death in December of 2013. During the trial, Taylor's alleged accomplice, Timothy Ballard, took the stand saying that Taylor committed the murder. The jury found Taylor guilty of 3 charges: intentional murder, kidnapping, and tampering with physical evidence. WKYT's Victor Puente was in the courtroom for that verdict this afternoon. We will check back in with him live on WKYT News at 4:30.
It is a WKYT First Alert severe weather day. We've got the hazy skies out there, high humidity, temperatures that are up there as well, and several rounds of thunderstorms on the way. That's that tropical sky right now. Lexington, 88 degrees, feels like 95. Courtesy of that humidity that is close now to 60%. Severe thunderstorm watch for the counties in yellow. That'll go until 10 o'clock this evening. Woodford County, Franklin County, down toward Boyle and Lincoln counties, points west included in that. Newly issued severe thunderstorm watch, northern Kentucky, until 11 o'clock this evening. Can we get some more counties added to that? Absolutely. And that's especially true as those thunderstorms into western Kentucky and especially Indiana start to make a little beeline toward the Bluegrass state. What is out there now? Very isolated stuff, eastern Kentucky. Lexington Bluegrass region, not a whole lot showing up. Got a little thunder shower that is cruising across the BG Parkway corridor. Then a severe thunderstorm here into parts of Bullitt County, northern parts of Hardin County as well. All kinds of severe thunderstorm warnings are out for western Kentucky around Bowling Green. What we are watching, though, this clustering of thunderstorms coming together, Bloomington, the Indianapolis area and into parts of Illinois. That stuff holds together, will work its way toward the southeast and impact our weather as we go through the evening. Main impact right now should be from high winds, ton of lightning, and also the possibility of at least some local stream and street flooding. Tornado threat with this type of a setup is very, very low. But again, high winds, heavy rain, primary players out there today. As we go through the next few days, again, better weather blowing into town toward the end of the week. Concentrate, though, on the short term and what is going on now. 7 o'clock this evening, that thunderstorm complex to the northwest drops on in to central Kentucky, weakens the farther east that it gets. Sound familiar? Similar to what happened last night, though this one will have a little longer lifespan, a little deeper into the mountains than what we had 24 hours ago. End of the day on Thursday. You want to talk about a hot day? It's coming up tomorrow. Low 90s, a good possibility. It may feel mid to upper 90s at times into many areas. A late day shower thunderstorm ahead of a cold front that will march into town to start out the day on Friday. Friday is a much cooler day with some clouds around. Storm system to our east. It's going to try to throw in at least an isolated shower thunderstorm into eastern Kentucky as we go into Friday afternoon, when temperatures in the east may stay into the upper 70s. That's a big drop from where we have been. But overall, again, conditions do look a lot better once we get into the weekend. Low 90s tomorrow. Threat for a shower thunderstorm on our Friday, but cooler air, lower humidities on Saturday. We'll steam it up toward 90 again early next week before storms creep back into the weather picture. Let's get an update on traffic. Here's Officer Don.
There's a collision inbound Nicholasville Road at Lowry. This is near the Circle, and it has the inbound lanes of Nicholasville Road shut down. Police are diverting traffic onto Lowry, so that corridor between Manowar and the Circle going to be problematic for the next few minutes on Nicholasville Road. Interstate looks good. 75 north and southbound, no major problems. Drive times on the interstate okay to Richmond, also into Georgetown, and 64 into Frankfort, normal stuff. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Don. A fun place for kids is raising awareness and money to benefit sick children.
Deanne Stevens is out and about today. She joins us from Monkey Joe's to explain. Hi, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We are here at Monkey Joe's. Now, when you think of Monkey Joe's, this is what you think about. You think about all of the kids jumping around, having a fabulous time, taking on the big jumpies. But what we're talking about this month is all of those kids making a difference in the lives of other children. Veronica is with us from Monkey Joe's here in Lexington. I love what you guys are doing for the month of June. Tell us about it.
Isn't it fabulous? This is a Monkey Joe's corporation thing. It's not just Lexington. The entire corporation is raising money. This is an annual thing. We've done it before, for research that goes toward all children that have cancer, toward all research projects to help get a cure, find a cure, help children.
So not only can the kiddos come in here and enjoy themselves on all the fabulous jumpies at Monkey Joe's, but they can come in, and of course the month of June's a little bit hot around here, everywhere for that matter. Yes. Enjoy some lemonade, which is the perfect reason for a lemonade stand.
Yes, so we've created our lemonade stand here in Lexington, and our guests have been so generous. We do accept donations at the front door when they check in. Anything they want to give goes to help for the research for children, and it lasts for the entire month of June.
This is part of Alex's lemonade stand, right? Yes. Tell us about that.
Yes, a little girl named Alex, she was 4 years old, and she did have cancer and decided to start a lemonade stand in her front yard, and her mom and dad helped her create a lemonade stand. For the next 4 years, so many people, thousands of people joined in her efforts, and she literally, the foundation has raised over $1 million, and that's fantastic.
It is. Yes. So lemonade stands at all the Monkey Joe's and making a difference in the lives of other children, those suffering from cancer. Come take part in it. Bring the kids, have some fun, and take part in making a difference in the lives of others. A little lemonade. Who doesn't want a little lemonade on a hot day?
Absolutely.
It's delicious. Yes. Monkey Joe's in Lexington, located in Hamburg. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Deanne. Eating whole grains may help prevent major diseases. More on that study in Better Living. And Martha Stewart is getting into the fast-growing meal kit business. Find out who she's partnering with coming up.
Friday's Mega Millions jackpot is $310 million, and tonight's Powerball jackpot is $153 million.
It may be our 70th anniversary, but you're getting the gift. Thousands of dollars in prize giveaways Saturday. From this recliner to a 70-inch 4K TV. Plus 70 months, zero interest, and double the free stuff. Up to $1,000.
Nobody beats P-Rats.
At Baptist Health, we want you to know the facts. Visit BaptistHealthTalks.com to view a video of neonatologist Tanya Reed and learn more about our new North Tower. Baptist Health Lexington. Be a healthier you.
Where's the best place to buy a leather sectional?
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
Ooh, what about a recliner?
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
A motion sofa?
You know the deal.
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
I really love Burke Furniture. It's a great place to shop.
Burke's has the best selection on the best name brands in Lexington, like Bradington Young, Bernhardt, Southern Motion, and Broyhill, and prices that are even better. Plus, right now, interest-free financing is available.
A beautiful home begins at Burke's.
It's summer. The heat blistering through your old windows has you sweating while you pay more and more on your energy bill. Enough is enough. Your home needs a champion. Champion windows keep you comfortable year-round. Recommended by over 40,000 previous customers. Guaranteed for life. And right now, buy 3 windows, get 1 free. And get our special finance offer. Call Champion today. Stop sweating and start saving money. Every home needs to be comfortable. Every home needs a champion.
John Leach worked in Kentucky coal mines for 23 years. He provided for his family, including 3 children with a rare genetic disease.
I couldn't ask for better kids. The best in the world.
The disease took John's oldest child. The other 2 need 24-hour care. But now Congress may go back on its word, taking away the health care John worked for and putting his children's lives in jeopardy.
This is what we get for working to help this country. A promise broken.
Come check out Beach Bend Park's Friday Night Lights. Come experience Beach Bend Park like never before. Ride the rides, play the games, all in the dark of the night at Beach Bend Park and Splash Lagoon.
It's P-Rat's 70th anniversary sale. And to celebrate, get Central Kentucky's largest selection of buy one, get one free recliners. Starting at $299. LG 43-inch LED TV. $349 Super Saver.
Nobody beats P-Rats.
Now it's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Whole Foods receives a food safety warning from the FDA that serious violations were found at its Massachusetts plant, which supplies ready-to-eat foods at stores in the Northeast. Some items exposed to condensation from leaking ceiling pipes and food prep sites were not sanitized. Whole Foods says they've corrected each of the issues identified in an earlier warning, but they must respond to the FDA by the end of the month. Move over, Blue Apron. The domestic diva herself is getting into the meal kit business. Martha Stewart is entering a license deal with existing meal kit company Marley Spoon, which bought Martha Stewart Living Omni Media last year. Subscribers will get a box shipped to their door filled with Stewart's recipes and pre-measured ingredients. Marley Spoon will be renamed Martha and Marley Spoon to showcase the merger. Researchers are cautioning patients to avoid using long-acting opioids whenever possible. A study at Vanderbilt found that taking opioids to manage moderate to severe chronic pain not only leads to unintentional overdoses, it also raises the risk of cardiovascular death. Fathers play an important role in their child's life. A report from the American Academy of Pediatrics shows time with dad can help a child's health and well-being. Older children with involved fathers tend to have fewer symptoms of depression, fewer behavioral problems, and a lower rate of teen pregnancy. For younger children, dad's involvement has a positive effect on a child's language development and mental health. Eating a diet full of plant-based foods may substantially lower the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. A study at Harvard followed the eating habits of more than 200,000 people. Those who consumed more fruit, vegetables, and nuts and less red and processed meat had a 20% lower risk of diabetes. Researchers are also finding the benefits of eating whole grains. A study in the British Medical Journal says people who increased to 2 servings per day of whole grain breads, cereals, and bran-based a lower risk of major chronic diseases that included cancer, stroke, and diabetes. Now let's head to Chris for another check of the weather.